it's interesting because like growing up in an Asian household, we don't really talk about mental health at all.
That's true.
So like I don't know if I would have thought it as a career option, just because it's not talked about and it's discouraged a little,
Yeah.
like with the older generation, right? So I was wondering like how how you got to this point where like this was actually an option versus like where when I
Did you
was
tell your parents earlier on that you wanted to do this, or did you say, "Hey, I'm just gonna be a doctor," and then later on, oh yeah, I'm gonna specialize in this? Like, how'd you
yeah
wiggle that out?
So my parents were very accepting of that because
Okay.
my nephew has autism.
Okay.
And autism it's not necessarily psychiatric; it's more neurodevelopment.
Yep.
Neurodevelopment, somewhat genetic too.
Mm-hmm.
But however, psychiatrists do also treat autism and developmental disabilities. So so when I told my dad I want to go to do child psychiatry and help kids like my nephew, it was just obvious,
Yeah.
right? There's so many reasons
Yeah.
in life that I witnessed, just like that freshman in college, and then people approaching me as well and telling me their own stories that really resonate with me. But then also my nephew. So my family was not surprised that I went into psychiatry.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, but yeah, I think Robert's right though. Like, it is definitely a little bit harder on, especially with the older generation, to talk about kind of stuff. Like, I feel like obviously, in our generation, it's very more common because we talked about it, we've seen it, we probably experienced a little bit more hands-on. While our older generation parents, they're just too busy working, just to focus on surviving, focus on, like I said, there's just too much fluctuation in their life, right?
Mhm.
They didn't even have time to even look into this. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
now in our generation, we have time to look into this. We have time to recognize this because our life is a little bit more stable. So
Mhm.
And I also want to point out that yes, I agree. In our parents' generation, whenever they think of mental illness, they think it's a lost cause, right? They don't know
Yeah.
that
lost cause.
So
Oh.
they wouldn't think for you to have a career in it because they think it's a lost cause.
Mm.
So I think that's one of the stigma, I guess, or the bias against mental illness from the Asian community, is that they don't know that there is treatment. They don't know that it can be treated. They think, oh, that person we're gonna have to take that care of that person
It's
forever.
just crazy. It's over. We're done.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, also they don't seek help, and
They don't seek help either.
they don't seek help. Like, they just refuse to
They
seek help in
refuse
general.
it. Yeah. They
Yeah.
definitely refuse it.
And that's partly because of the saving face, right? Everyone.
Oh, that's true. That
Yeah,
is true. I don't want to look bad to other people. Like,
Mhm.
the Asian community talks too much. They're gonna know stuff.
Yeah.
So they hide it. The family hide it. They don't speak out because they're afraid of losing face.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because their kids' mental illness reflects on them.
Yeah.
So there's that whole stigma.
So why do you think our generation don't care as much about that face value? We're more open to it versus their generation. They're too worried about their say.
I think because of the more and more social media, more and more people like YouTube, Mike and Robert, who are letting people have their own voice through the podcast.
Yeah.
And social media, people have their own voice and they're telling their own stories. And when you see diverse voices and diverse stories, people are more inclined to share their own personal narrative.
Because they're more open about it.
I think really the new technology of communication nowadays, social media, has made people more open to differences.
Gotcha.
I also think American society also affects how we view like mental illness and all that stuff too. I think
culture-wise, you mean?
Yeah, culture-wise, because I think if we all grew up in Asia, we probably would still be in that same mental space. Whereas over here, you see white people going to therapy all the time. They're always talking about it. It's just a normal thing. You're like, oh, maybe we should look into this too. Whenever anything happens with us, like they're always like, oh, you should just go see a therapist or like talk to somebody about it. And so like it's easier for us to have that as an option because
so you think because culturally right now, because we're affected culturally by the American culture, we're more open to talking about it. But if all of us lived in Asia, you think there's still be this barrier about saving face in a sense?
I think
in our
so.
direction?
Really? Because everybody over there is saving face, right? And over
it's
here,
about status, I guess.
Yeah, it's about status, all that stuff. So I think that's probably a big part of it as well.
Yeah, I agree with Robert.
But I feel like even here, like, you know, the people who are the richest, the highest famous celebrities, they see therapists, and I guess because they help normalize us, I guess, in a sense that at the end of the day, it's human beings.
Yeah.
So do you think from an Asian culture change, if they saw other Asian people, famous people, rich people, okay, you know what, they have their own issue, they're open about it. Do you think that will kind of break down the barrier a little bit more in their end, I guess, from the Asian culture perspective?
I think so. Yeah, I think if more Asian celebrities talk about mental illness and talk about their own journey, yeah, it could be normalized. But I know that I don't know too well, but I heard that K-pop stars, like every time they say anything non-traditional, it's a scandal.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, I see what you're
get
saying.
shamed, and they ruin their career.
Yeah.
Like even saying something bad about the military in Korea is like ruin your career, and it's a scandal, right? Even saying that you go to a massage parlor is a scandal. I just feel like
so it's too much gossip.
Too much pressure on these Asian countries, you know, for a pop star. And so I think it's going to be a long way to go for Asian countries.
So you're saying that Miley Cyrus will not survive in Asian culture then?
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's a strong possibility.
All right.
What I do have hope with is the Asian Gen Z, right? The people us are younger, the Gen Z, they're more vocal on social media. And so I think because we're more global community now, Gen Z throughout the world will be more vocal, and it will spread toward Asia.
And that transparency will help probably.
Yeah. So basically, if you're in Asia, if you're a K-pop star, if you're a K-pop fan in Nicaragua and you're a K-pop fan in Korea and America, you can connect through that common interest, and you can start talking to each other, be friends with each other, and then it will influence each other and be more open.
That's true. Yeah, I can see that happening.